All right, Mark Meredith is live in West Palm Beach, where the former president lives, with the latest on the additions of Trump's transition team. Mark.
Lawrence and friends, good morning to you. The president-elect is expected to get a hero's welcome when he meets with House Republicans a little bit later on today. He's expected to show new support for House Speaker Mike Johnson as he gets ready for another likely term as Speaker. Overnight, Trump also announcing a slew of new people he would like to serve with come for his administration next year. This is video of him getting ready to head to D.C. from within the last hour. Trump getting on his 757 as he makes his way to Washington. Overnight, Trump announcing like Pete Hegseth, an Army veteran, best-selling author, and longtime host here on Fox to lead the Department of Defense. Trump writing, Pete has spent his entire life as a warrior for the troops and for the country. Pete is tough, smart, and a true believer in America first. Former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe is Trump's pick for CIA director. He'd also previously served in Congress and spoken out frequently about the threat China and Iran pose. Trump also calling for Mike Huckabee, the former Baptist minister, Arkansas governor, and TV host, to be his ambassador to Israel. Huckabee says he is honored to serve, writing, "It's been an incredible day as Trump asked me to serve as his ambassador to Israel, a land I've been visiting since 1973 when I was a teenager. It will be a privilege to serve my country and my president in this role." Overnight, Trump also making it official. He wants South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to lead the Department of Homeland Security. Noem says she is both honored and humbled by the opportunity. But perhaps the biggest headline today is Trump tapping Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter and Tesla, I should say X, not Twitter these days, and Vivek Ramaswamy, the former presidential candidate, to lead an agency that would be tasked with trying to reshape the federal government itself, to cut through bureaucracy, to shrink the size of the federal government. There's still a lot of questions about how this exactly would work, but Trump making it clear he wants these two very high-profile conservatives to play a key role in the second Trump term. Steve Ainsley, Brian, Lawrence, back to you guys.
And Mark, this department that they would head up, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, it doesn't exist right now. So that presumably somebody would have to hire staff unless Elon Musk uses some of the, his Tesla geniuses or some of those guys in the back room to try to do the calculations about where they should make the cuts.
You know, this is interesting. Some people were kind of saying this is the idea of a deficit reduction committee. Essentially, the idea is here are just some ideas of where government can be reined in. Now, I'm just speculating here. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but perhaps it's saying to every agency, hey, Department of Energy, where do you see cutbacks are possible? They submit a report, and then perhaps it would be Elon and Vivek who then would present that to Trump. They could all decide from there. But I would imagine that a number of lawmakers would want to exercise their congressional authority before any serious changes are made.
Mark, remember that when we would see the government waste and it was like T-shirts for certain causes or shrimp on a treadmill? That's what this reminds me of, pulling back the curtain to see where your tax dollars
and there was
are
always the advocacy groups in D.C. that would present a report every year of like the biggest waste. I mean, I think many taxpayers would be outraged if they saw where some of their tax dollars went to. Of course, the federal government is such a huge entity. It is not easy for any of us to get our arms around it. But Trump says there simply has to be changes.
Thank you very much, Mark. Keep in mind, going with the pork barrel stuff back in the day, that's back when there was a lot of it because your congressman would go to Washington, D.C., and then next thing you know, they're building a bridge or they're building that shrimp on a treadmill laboratory or stuff like that.
They would throw all of it in a bill.
Right. And, well, it was in different bills, but they would bring the money back home and then they would be heroes. But they've pretty much gotten rid of a lot of that pork and a lot of those earmarks.
Simpson Bowles. These guys gave up 3 or 2 years of their lives to study how to make government more efficient. And President Obama looked at it and said, we'll never do this. I'll never get congressional approval for this. So I would look at the Simpson Bowles, what they came up with, see if any of that is usable because they did a lot of the work, paid millions of dollars, and, of course, they don't use it. And these were two retired senators at the time. But let's talk about the new lineup. Pete Hegseth came out, what time last night? Around 9 o'clock?
Earlier.
I think it was earlier.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
6:45.
Yep.
It was during Laura Ingram's show.
Before Sean's show, So, Pete, our friend, we're so proud of you, Pete, if you're watching. He's our weekend co-host, sits right here on the curvy couch, and he has just been such an advocate of Donald Trump's, but more importantly, the military. It is his life. He loves meeting with veterans. Every time we go to diners, all the veterans say, where's Pete? How's Pete? What's he really like? He's a great guy. Look at this. He served our country. Army National Guard infantry officer, served tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then he was a guard at Gitmo, 2 Bronze Stars, Combat Infantryman badge.
Yep. He went to also Princeton and Harvard. Of course, he's been at Fox News for 10 years, and he was the CEO of Concerned Veterans of America. A huge pick by the president-elect. And if you're wondering why Washington is freaking out about this appointment, you know he wrote a book about the corruption that's going on in the Department of Defense, all the focus on wokeness. As you remember, they also targeted him, tried to force him into retirement. And so if the Pentagon is not in support of this, that there may be a little reason why.
And the reason, and this is a great point, Lawrence, the fact that he has written a number of New York Times #1 best-selling books, but his book called War on Warriors, essentially, and I'm sure Donald Trump either has read the book or has watched Pete's specials, and Donald Trump would go, you know what? What he's talking about right there is what I would like to do. So this is why it makes perfect sense why Pete would get tapped for this particular job.
Keep an eye on Lee Zeldin, too. I think he's going to have a real important job to get our energy together. He's going to allow the drilling, natural gas, the pipelines back together, get the export going over to Europe. The other positions that need to be filled, Treasury, Attorney General, Interior, Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, HHS. So
get any ideas.
Transportation, Energy, and Education.
Not like Pete.
I have no specialty.
Also, Brian, Attorney General is still open as well. Also, I heard some rumors this morning. Kash Patel is on the short list, almost there.
For AG?
To be at the FBI.
Right.
So
they were
keep your eye on him.
They were suggesting
that means Chris Wray would be fired and Kash Patel would be brought in.
Right. The story a couple days ago was that Kash Patel might go to the CIA, but Mr. Ratcliffe is going there. There's one you left off the list, and that is Marco Rubio. You know, we think he's going to be Secretary of State. We heard that a couple of days ago. Here we are on Wednesday. We heard about it on Monday. Still no official notification that he's been nominated.
I would say this. I thought the same thing, and I was communicating with someone very higher up last night, said there's no problems, it's a go.
I'm hearing the same thing.
Well, then why haven't we heard about it?
Even Senator Fetterman, Democrat, said his quote was, he's a strong choice for the role, and he looks forward to working with him.
Fetterman will work. I bet you he's the Manchin of this session.
Also, very important for Israel, Mike Huckabee will be the ambassador to Israel.
Another guy who used to work at Fox.
Yeah,
meanwhile,
Huckabee is a great choice.
Absolutely. We love that guy. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.